What's up, Buff Nation?
Yeah. When I post, it's what God gives me. It's not for you or you or you. It's not like that. It's just something that comes up in my spirit that I've been doing this for during the 30 years.
Today, we've got several great news stories for you. So we're going to make like you're eating, your friends cooking, and pretend that you like it. Our main story today is about Coach Prime making an epic post-Christmas request of Santa Claus, and then a possible miracle happening. We're also going to talk about a new NCAA rule change that greatly helps the Colorado Buffs and a couple other great stories. So grab you a plate of Christmas leftovers if you still have any. Sit back and get ready because this is the prime time for college football. So our first story today, we're going to talk about Coach Prime's day after Christmas request to Santa Claus. Recently on Twitter, or again, X if you're calling it that these days, Coach Prime said the following: "Dang, I hope I'm looking in the portal doing the bank head bounce. Just when I thought Santa was on his way back to the North Pole, he dipped off. Santa, please drop another defensive tackle, cornerback, linebacker, and one more pass rusher off to Boulder. I believe, Santa. I believe." Well, it didn't take too long after that for a possible miracle to show up. And that miracle came in the form of Purdue edge Nic Scourton, who plans on entering the NCAA transfer portal. Now, Scourton had 50 tackles, 15 tackles for losses, and 10 sacks this season. Now, I want to be crystal clear about something. We are not saying that Colorado has signed this kid. We're not saying that this kid has committed. We're simply putting two and two together, looking at the timing of these tweets and wondering if Coach Prime might know a little something that the rest of us don't know yet. I think there are going to be a ton of teams that are after Nick. I think there are a ton of teams that are going to want this kid. But I also think that the timing of Coach Prime's tweet and then Scourton's tweet entering the portal maybe not being so much of a coincidence. We've told you about Okunlula, the kid that came from Pitt. He's already committed to the Buffs. We told you about DJ Lundy. There are some big-time defensive additions that have come to this Buffs roster already. Could another one of the most highly sought-after edge prospects in the country find his way to Boulder as well? You guys see the colors that he's wearing, that black and gold. He already fits the mold of what we'd been looking for. He doesn't even have to barely change his wardrobe once he would get out to Boulder. Now listen, what ends up happening here? Does Colorado pursue here? Well, I think Colorado is going after the biggest and the best. So it would not surprise me at all if Colorado did pursue. Will they land him? That's the other question, right? Will they actually get him? Well, based on what Coach Prime has done in the portal so far, you have to like their chances. Are they able to get him over other big-time schools that I expect that will go after him? ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12 schools? I think so. I think this is a kid that most every team in the country will be targeting. Where all does Colorado need help? We've talked a ton about the portal. Let's talk about that just generally before we move on to our next story. But I certainly think that they could use another edge rusher. Coach Prime's talking about it. You need depth at that position. Samuel is not going to be able to come off the edge every single play and give you 110% effort without ever getting worn out, tired, or slowed down. You also need guys in the middle stopping the run. They've gotten some tackles. They have improved that. You also need guys at that second level like DJ Lundy. Linebackers, they're not done there yet. I expect them to go deeper in trying to improve that room. I really like where they're at on this in the secondary. But don't be surprised if they take one more corner. Coach Prime mentioned it. But I believe that they've got a really good, solid secondary room right now. I really like the pieces they have there at corner and safety. But don't be shocked if they go and get one more. Again, it's about depth. It's about not having Travis Hunter play 140 snaps a game like he had to last year at times. It's about being able to rotate guys. And I think that another edge rusher makes everyone's job a little bit easier if they're getting after the quarterback. But don't be surprised to see them upgrade a few different positions as they continue to work the portal. What do you guys think? Do you think that Nic entering the portal could have anything to do with Coach Prime's tweet? Let's talk about that down below in the comments. Now, something else I want to hear from you guys down in the comments on is we're now 2 days after Christmas. I want to know what you got for Christmas that was Buffs gear, Buffs related, Buffs tickets, whatever it might have ended up being. I want to hear about it down in the comments. I wish you could share pictures. I wish you could add pictures to what you're sending. We're working on a couple of things right now so that we can communicate with you guys a little bit better, a little bit easier. Have more details on that coming soon. But again, before we go any further, I want to hear what you guys got for Christmas that was Buffs related. What gifts did you give that were Buffs related? I want to hear about that down in the comments, so let me know. Next up, let's talk about a new NCAA rule change that I believe greatly helps Colorado. Now, recently, the NCAA ruled that during the current portal window, which runs through January 2nd, all transfers, no matter how many times they had transferred prior, would be allowed to play next season. Now, a judge ruled that this was the way the NCAA needed to go, and they bent. They said, okay, we'll do this. We have no idea if this is just a one-time change or if it will be a change going forward. The NCAA isn't doing this out of the kindness of their heart. I can guarantee you that. But the NCAA got beat down in court and had to do this. But this is huge for Colorado for two reasons. There are a lot of one-time transfers that jumped into a bad situation and are looking to upgrade. So not only can we get guys here into Boulder, but there are some guys who would have been on this roster that Coach Prime can now tell, hey, this isn't necessarily the best place for you. You transferred in, and we appreciate you for stepping out on faith and doing that, but we may not be the best spot for you. We may have recruited over you. We may have more talented guys coming in, and you're welcome to stay here and be third or fourth on the depth chart, but if you'd like to go somewhere else and play, we can help you accomplish that. So not only is it big for Coach Prime opening up how many people he can actually bring in, it's big because now Coach Prime can open up how many people he lets go. You see, if the one-time transfer rule didn't exist, Coach Prime couldn't get rid of guys because they'd have nowhere to go. They could not transfer out. But now it's wide open. If Coach Prime feels that you're maybe not the best fit for this roster, you're not essentially stuck on the roster. It helps both ways. And Coach Prime, I believe, will be very honest like he was the last year at this time, letting guys know, hey, you're not necessarily in the plans going forward. I know that's not fun for anybody to hear. I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, but honesty is the best policy. And I believe that Coach Prime will be brutally honest with this. He's also got a chance to continue to upgrade places and pieces on this roster in a massive way. He talked about defensive line. He talked about the edge position. He talked about linebacker. He talked about cornerback. He knows the defense has to get better. The defense did play better during the second half of the season down the stretch, but it's got to get better if they want to compete for the Big 12 next year, which I absolutely believe they can do. They need to add some more pieces. They need to shore up some more things. They need to make sure that everyone gels together and everyone's on the same page. They've got a good solid core. They've got a good nucleus right now. But they need to make sure that they bring in the vital pieces that will jump in the portal over the next week or so until that January 2nd deadline. And they need to make sure that they're on guys like Nic that we talked about earlier. Hey, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you for being part of the channel. Like I said, we're working on a couple of things now that may let us interact a little bit better, may let us communicate a little bit better. I really appreciate the growth that we've seen, the family that we've seen. It's crazy to me that in less than a year, we've hit 25,000 subscribers. You guys are all part of that, and we very much appreciate it. Make sure you join and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We've got a lot more exciting stuff to bring you, and we appreciate you being part of the prime time for college football.